Hello, beautiful hearts. Thank you for being here. And I'm super excited to have Hamish here with me. And long coming, I can feel it. But welcome, Hamish, again here.
Thank you. It has been a long time since we've chatted, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. I feel it like years has passed by
Mm.
when actually was almost 1 year or so. But so much has happening in between that is like a hundred of years. So, yeah, beautiful hearts. I'm happy to be back with Hamish and Spatial. Well, so beautiful heart. I want to share with you what was happening in the last period, what I call it the big transformation from one stage struggling with thoughts, with emotions, with incapability to see through because of the veil that was surrounding my energy, my field, my eyes, my all that. There is a veil. Um, so moved through that veil, which I can call it the tunnel of resistance and persistence and courage to move through whatever that is. It's actually helping us to come to the other side where we see the light, we understand all those struggles, and everything is coming together like a piece of puzzle. So the transformation always and always is happening within before is manifesting outside of us. So today with Hamish, we will dive deep into this transformational journey, and we will share with you our experience, insights, and with trust that it will assist you in one way or another. Whatever form there is to assist you, it will be beautiful because my feeling is that at this moment in time, with all that is happening, we need each other more than ever. And by how this is happening is holding the hands and sharing the story and helping each other to pull up from whatever places we find ourselves. So, Hamish, I let you to have your own introduction into this new era, I can call it. After the process of transformation is actually a new era. So,
Thank you. Well, first of all, thanks again for letting me be back here with you. I love our conversations. We chat for a few minutes before we start, just to feel in what the conversations are going to be about, set a bit of an intention, and then see what happens. So, yeah, I suppose I'll start by telling you my just a little bit of last year. I think last year was definitely the year of the snake. It was shedding an awful lot of things. Um, for me, it was a really interesting time when I stopped to look back at it, when I take that effort to step out of the pond, the bog, the mud, whatever, and actually look. And my father died last year.
mm,
So the prelude up to that was him getting sicker and sicker, looking after him, being on call, sleepless nights, phone going at 2 in the morning, sorting out ambulances, all these things that I think more and more people have to do for their families, but are not discussed. And that was hard. It was very hard, but it was also amazing watching him being able to accept what was happening. He didn't want it, he didn't want the pain, but he was accepting that he was leaving the planet, leaving this world. Um, and that was very hard, very, very hard to watch, very hard to be part of that. And it required me to look at why there was a lot of anger, why there was resentment, why still after reconnecting with him, which I have done over the last 5 years, there was still a real big chunk of what wasn't working, why I didn't like him. He was my father. I loved him. I didn't like him as a person. So all this kind of thing. And then what really cropped up was now he's dead. He's not physically present. I do not see the physical part of my father. I can remember what I want, and I can close my eyes, remember that he was wise. I can remember that he was brilliant. I can remember he did love us all. And I can remember all these higher aspects, parts of him, for want of a better phrase. So I can really see his magic, his beauty, his higher self, who he was out of context of being human, out of that fear, out of that frailty. And that has really changed my relationship with him by consciously going, I'm not going to dive into that story. I hate him because I don't like him because, but rather seeing who was he and listening to other people's conversations, listening to, my sister, I remember dad like this. My brother, I remember my dad like this. His best mate, I remember Donald like this. And listening to other people's stories about him, I realized mine were mine. My stories were not necessarily right. And in fact, every time we tell somebody a story, we add a bit more of a victim, bit more of a blame. So I had to go back to see what the original story was. And he was a lovely human being. He wanted this for us. He wanted that. He made decisions to bring us up a certain way. And obviously, for every decision, there's a consequence. He wasn't around. So part of my journey last year was looking at that. Another part of my journey was caring for him. I joined the caring company who looked after him. And for 6 months, I looked after elderly people. And that was magical. Looking after people who had seen 70, 80, 90, 95 years of life and listening to their wisdom and listening to their advice and listening to their thinking. Sometimes the same story again and again and again, because that is dementia and that's shit. Anyone who's lived or helped people with dementia know that it is dying every day. It is horrible. So there was all this stuff going on for me, and it was, Juliana, it was lovely. But I had to slow down. I had to slow down so much. He says, I moved house 3 times between October and January. And the fourth move is to where I am now. I'm now in London. So that's been my journey of sloughing, shedding old stories, some old stories, old fears, old beliefs, and really having to challenge so much of what I thought about myself, who I am, how I am, and then moving from the quiet country into London, where I'm setting up a business, where I'm suddenly flat out again, trying to slow down. So it's more of this. So it's a complete seesaw. It's not balance. Absolutely not. It's like go, 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 stop. Go, 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 stop. So I'm still doing that, but everything has changed, and I'm now on that racehorse. Year of the racehorse. So that's a bit of my journey, and it really is accepting what's happening. I have no idea how this business is going to work. However, this thing is going. It's exciting. There's more, but I want to hear a bit of your story because certainly last time I saw you, you had hair. Those guys not watching, I'm pointing halfway down my back because last time I saw Juliana, she had lovely long hair and things have changed slightly. So yeah, tell me about your last few months since we've last chatted on here.
Oh boy. Yeah, I had long hair, but now I changed my look. And so my journey is, oh boy, it's, I don't know where to start, but let's say it like this. A lot has going on. And one day, just before Christmas, yes, sitting on my computer, I got this nudge, shave bald. And I'm like, what are you talking about? It's king, I'm a sexy lady, you know, like, bald, sun, like, but what I felt inside was this small child so excited and giggling and yes, but my mind was like, are you sure? You know, people think you're crazy, you know, you're a woman and suddenly you shave bald, people think you are sick or whatever. But still, this small inner child in me, exactly, this small inner child in me was like, yes, let's do it. You know, the excitement of something, but you don't know what, but it's just super excited. So it took me feeling to it, to, you know, and one of the things that I was thinking about this shaving ball, like who I'm listening, it was me, my higher self, higher nudged. I was like, oh, but this makes sense. Like my hair is falling, so much going on, stress. I think, okay, that's one of the things. Like it makes sense, you know. So I try to kind of, from my ego mind, to find ways not to talk myself out, but what is the point? So on the 11th January this year, I was like, okay, this is the day to do it. It's like I felt like I must do it. So I did it. Like I was looking in my mirror, talking to the old self, because I realized this was not just shaving myself bald. This actually was shifting my identity, saying goodbye to everything I knew about myself, that part of me that has been experienced the pain, the trauma, the all the chaos, just being grateful with that version. And my shaping was symbolizing with my courage to dare to shift something in my life and to say goodbye to a old story. So I have to say it. I was shaking and crying, but I did it because I was like, I'm not believing I'm doing this. I was talking with myself. I cannot believe what I'm doing. But guess what? After I did it, I felt like, huh, that's not so bad. And then I was looking in the mirror, saying, like, actually, I'm looking nice. So it actually shifting so fast. My perspective of looking at me with hair and without hair, with identity that was built and without any identity. Because when I look in the mirror, I was like looking like a woman, but I was having the shape of a man. You know, like there was nothing to to point to figure who is this person suddenly. So something just cut off. And of course, that was just the beginning of the real transformation of the external to happening, because that was my initiation to myself to
Mm.
say, I'm doing it. I am ready and I take responsibility for it. And I know what I'm doing because I'm listening myself. So this has been creating like a domino effect of events where I must stand in front with a huge betrayed that was coming from nowhere, but I must go through that pain knowing that there is a reason in it. Even though my mind could find many things to complain or to rage, but I knew that I am not that pain. I knew that I am not that experience. I knew that whatever is happening, I am feeling it, but is not me. So that knowing inside me has helped me to overcome and to understand that we are not the pain. We are not the experience that we are having in this reality. And whatever is happening around us is just helping us to grow.
Mm. Yep.
Yeah.
I like it. Do you know, I think it suits you. It certainly suits me, so I think it looks good.
Yes.
But
And
the
it's a, it's
you
a
you
easy journey.
Yeah, but you've mentioned, you've nailed so many things. I mean, it is that Gnosticism, as within, so without. It so much is, and I'm very aware that my what goes on externally really is a projection of what is going on inside. Um, all those old stories, they weren't true. They were affecting me. Same with you, the long hair, that identity, all that kind of thing, and having to cut it all off. I mean, I've had a couple of female friends who've done that as well because of cancer, because of
Mm,
this. Happened to my sister, happened to a dear friend of mine. And I guess, like you, the identity's gone because this look is so tied into who I am. Um, I mean, this look for me, this finely cut short hair, wherever it grows, is my look as well. But it is fascinating how that reflection inside and out, how we had to change, you had to change, you had to get rid of that old identity. And what I really loved is that your inner child, there was a part of you going, yeah, I can't wait to do this. And that requires such subtle listening. You have to stop for that. You had to slow down to stop and go, this is really shit scary. I'm going to lose everything. I'm going to lose my identity, who I am. What do I look like? Boys aren't going to whistle at me. I'm going to look strange. I'm going to look like a golf ball, who knows what. And yet part of you is going, fuck yes, let's do it. Fuck yes, let's do it.
yes.
And that's magical. And you listen to it, and
Ex-
you tapped into that child archetype, that child fun. I want to do that. I'm having the best fun at the moment. I go to bed when I feel like it. I get up when I feel like it. If I'm tired, I'll stop working at 3 in the afternoon, watch a movie, start at 5, work till 9 or 10 or 11 or 12. But there's a joyous enthusiasm in there. It really is. Yes, I'm on that racehorse. I'm not. It's not just the year of the horse. It's the year of the racehorse with wings, for me. Um, but I have completely changed my identity. I've moved from the country, the quiet, into a big, 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 noisy, bustling, dope-smelling city. And that's okay. You know,
it's
didn't kill me. Cutting your hair off hasn't killed you.
exactly.
Mm.
Exactly, Hamish. Because after this, so many things has happening and so fast, but in the same time, feeling like slowly, but feeling so many events happening that because it is a shift on identity, but it also scary because there was moments after this when I was looking in the mirror, I was like, I know who I was, but who is this right now? I was
Mm.
like, okay, I must learn who is this person right now looking at me with this new,
Mm.
um, new look, new eyes, new presence, like what's going on. So I felt like something has so torn, like with upside down, and realizing that all that I can do is to listen that inner child and just follow that nudge, that joy, that whispers, because I realize that's what I need to hear right now. Nothing else. Just that, because that's will show me who is looking at me back from the
Mm.
mirror at
Yeah.
this moment. So
Mm.
it's it's a scary on some level, but is not, because
Mm.
you are facing yourself in another way where, like we don't know who we are, we try to find out who we are, but also we are afraid to know more deep about who we are, all this,
Mm.
so it's like it's amazing journey, I have to say. And what has been helping me this shift, not only external, but with that external has actually activated internal, is that I am nothing that people have told me. I am nothing that the story I was going through. I have nothing to do with that because I am not the story, but I have been experienced that.
Mm.
And that's really bringing another perspective to life and to ask yourself, okay, if I'm not that who was through pain and all this, uh, who am I now? Who am I that walked through all this? So it's like really what we identify with the mind, with the story, with the emotions, with the body. It's really that what we manifest.
Mm. Yeah, there's so much to unpack there. Um, in what you've done there is what I would call in shamanism is a soul retrieval. You
Mm.
found that inner child and brought her back. I've been doing quite a lot of this recently in the studying that I'm doing. I've had several soul retrievals, and just like that, a little bit of me has come back, and that part of me has given me back what I was missing. You know, when I was born, when you were born, when we were all born, when we were coming into existence, we were complete. We were soul, a whole consciousness, or whatever, however you want to describe it. And then life chipped little bits off. Bit of Hamish ran away into a tunnel and hid there for years. A bit of Hamish went and sat in the cowboy field, swinging happily on the trees. And as I've met these pieces of Hamish, as I've met these inner child, the one in the tunnel said, "Fuck off, dude." I said, "I'm not coming back. There is no way am I coming back to join you until you stop abandoning yourself."
Mm.
I said, "Oh, crap." So I do abandon myself. I will people please. I will do this. So little Hamish sat there, said, "I am sitting here in the tunnel, terrified, frightened, but I do not abandon myself. I will come back to you when you stop doing that." And I guess, like you making that decision to cut your hair off, I had to make that decision to say, right, I'm not going to abandon myself. Doesn't mean I don't. I made that choice not to. And he stood up. I was just like, I'm on the right path. And then something happened a couple of weeks ago. Again, like you going, I'm going to cut my hair off. Holy crap, la la la. I can't remember the exact thing, but I made a real conscious decision around story, around codependence, around I don't need to make people like me because that's actually coercing them and manipulating them. And he started walking out that tunnel, and then he snuggled up. I was in bed at the time, and he's now back with me. He's come back
Mm.
because I have committed and made that conscious choice to catch myself before I abandon myself. I don't do it every time. I'm human. But same as your little Juliana going, yeah, cut the hair off, let's have fun. This little guy has come back to me, and I'm not abandoning myself. I'm much more sovereign. I'm much more capable. Um, the glow, the shine in your eyes is so apparent. Same with me. There's every time a little bit of that soul comes back, the eyes get a bit more sparkly, smiles get bigger. Um, doesn't mean it's easier, just means I
Mm.
can thrive a bit better. So it's that. It really is. It is looking at what's happened, looking at those scary bits. I mean, you mentioned radical acceptance. It is that. It's accepting, like, I have no idea what's going to happen. Just go for it. What's the worst that can happen? I'll get laughed at.
Charged
Yeah.
towards she's sick, what's going on, she's
Yeah.
crazy because she
Mm,
go to a really high up down and she totally go cuckoo.
yeah.
Exactly, those all those thoughts, all those behind fear. But also what I observe, like, yes, is radical acceptance, but when all these parts of ourselves come back to us, when we finally realizing that I am the mother and I am the father, and those parts of me are the kids that get away from home, and now it's time everybody to come home, which is part of our soul. Each experience pull a part of us. Each love story take a part of our hearts. So everywhere, because we was being hurt, and all that pieces go away and it's go away. And then when we finally decide, like, I will love fully and totally myself, I will not abandon myself. Yes, I will learn, because we are humans and we still find our ways. But once this small part of us, which is our kids, look a little bit, behind the curtain and think, oh, I think something is happening there. I think I will keep looking, and maybe actually I will make some steps, or maybe actually I'll go home.
Mm. Yeah.
So when these souls come to us, which is back home in our hearts, we become more full, more sovereign, more confident, more trusting ourselves, because we are more complete, and the eyes are shining and the soul is uplifted. So definitely it's a rebuilding, not rebuilding, like building the new identity despite the story that you go through, because all that story has been help you to create the identity who you are meant to become. Pain experiences, so they go away to learn their journey. When you realize, I realize, we realize that, okay, I will forgive myself, I will love myself, all those pieces come back. And then what's happening inside us, it's we are transforming in something that we don't know exactly what, how, but it's happening. So that's where I want to go, is that how we see the life. Are we want to stay in the victimhood mentality? Then you say to those parts of yourself that it's what is happening with me, it's real, and yes, I'm worthless, and I'm this and I am that, and I have no power, because you identify with the pain of the story. And then those kids stays there,
Mm.
and they will constantly cry and constantly will kick with the legs, because like, hey, I want home, but you do nothing. And so it's a beautiful, beautiful journey when we dive more deep into this awareness of the parts of us, our soul. We're not perfect, but we can build a path for ourselves that's in alignment with us.
Yeah, I like that. I think it's also important to appreciate that these souls will go again. If I start abandoning myself again, little Hamish is going to say, "Bugger off, mate! I'm going back to that tunnel. I'm safe there." So there's that awful word, accountability. That other awful word, responsibility,
Yeah.
and self-care and self-love. All these things we have to start doing. We have to start being more compassionate. Um, and people aren't going to like us. People are going to, hey, I used to be able to walk over you and take what I wanted from you. You're not letting me do that now. Boundaries, that's the word I was looking for. All
Yeah.
this stuff that comes up time and time again in everywhere. And unfortunately, that's part of it. If I want to be more at peace, I have to put a bit more self-care in, a bit more self-love. I certainly have to stop abandoning myself. I certainly
Mm.
have to stop blaming other people, because for those of you who know my story, nobody held a gun to my head and said drink. I did that. Nobody told me to do it. Nobody made me do it. I can't blame anybody for those choices. And once we start to appreciate that, it becomes easier. Harder, but easier, because we actually have to spend less effort pretending everything is all right. Yeah, so it makes for an interesting time, doesn't it? And it's getting faster. Life is getting faster. Whatever they say is getting faster. And slowing down, as I said, is more and more important. Not easy.
Not at
Not
all.
easy. No.
No,
Yeah.
it's not. That's definitely. And this fire horse, It's really, let's say, kicking our butt to move forward, because it's the energy, and no, it's not waiting for anyone.
Mm,
And it's very important that we are aware where we stand in our awareness state. If we still hold on the stories that we have been experienced, those people struggle more, because that's what it is. They are being pushed to go within, to feel, to, you know, see another perspective, have compassion, love yourself, put boundaries, have responsibility, take the accountability, speak up for yourself. All the is not easy, because when we don't did it in this life, it's scary. But that's where we are being pushed.
mm,
And those who are aware that and work on themselves, that okay, this is my story, but it's not me, and here there I go, I'm still learning, left, right, left. But they are aware that I must go through. There is no other way.
mm,
So it will be really challenging for some, and really liberating for others,
mm,
because of the awareness and the understanding why they go, why they are here, why they go through, why they need to go, why they have these experiences. So it's the year of transformation.
Another year of transformation and fast
Another one.
transformation.
But
I- I've got a thought. I've got a thought for you. As you were saying that, something really dropped very strongly into my mind, and it goes back to what I said earlier on: as within, so without. What leads? Do we have to change the physical before the internal will change, or the other way around? What do you think?
is important the internal to be changed,
Ultimately, yeah, but what starts that process?
of transformation, of change,
Yeah.
when we when we with ourselves realizing that I cannot anymore accepting this pain. I cannot anymore allow others to walk over me. I cannot accept, or I don't have anymore the energy to give to others, to love them, to have compassion, when in return is just stealing, taking. So it's really that critical point when we realize with ourselves, I'm done.
Hmm.
I'm done with this. It's not working out. It's not helped me. I'm not happy. I'm dying. And then when you decide that this is not working out and you're done with this BS, something is happening inside.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Everything you said there is external, isn't it? They are all responses to he's treating me badly, she's treating me badly, this is happening around me. So, what I'm really getting from this conversation is that we have to change outside to change inside. We've Because we are physical beings, whatever you say, however much of the spiritual industry you're involved with, we are physical beings. Yes, energy is physical, la la la, it doesn't matter. That hurt. I have to eat. I have to drink. Sunlight makes me happy. Too much noise hurts my ears. I am physical. We are physical. So if I want to change within, I have to change what's around me. Me moving to London, you cutting your hair off. Would you have changed so much, Juliana, if you hadn't cut your hair off? Do you think your internal architecture would have changed?
No, I don't think
Mm,
so. Because when I look in the mirror, I could see that Juliana that was going through all
yeah.
that. The hair, the curls,
Mm,
so it's like the remembrance. Yeah. Yeah, I see the point. I see your point. Yeah. Because we must change the externally, but the initiation is coming internally.
yeah.
And then from that initiation, we must take actions externally
Yep.
to allow to come in alignment internally.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm, yeah.
So yeah, exactly. Beautiful said. I love
Mm.
it.
It makes sense, doesn't it? Because the pain comes from physical existence.
With yes, which is externally.
Mm.
You
So we
know,
have to learn that pain usually is our best teacher, isn't it?
yeah,
Especially for blokes, because we are slow, stubborn. Actually, that's not fair. Some blokes. For those who aren't watching, I'm pointing at myself. Yeah, I've had to learn the hard way, and I'm probably not the only one. But yeah, mm.
exactly.
There's a
So,
lot about Gnosticism I absolutely love. I think it's just such a beautiful way of viewing the world. Yeah.
exactly. So the transformations, it start initiating from inside. The actions we need to make external, that's mean boundaries is important. Choosing yourself is to put boundaries. Respecting yourself is to put boundaries. Loving yourself is to put boundaries. Um, and so on. It's external, it's with the people. Um, yeah,
And some of that list requires even more scary stuff. You know, the shadow work, looking at what isn't working, looking at why I'm afraid, looking at why I'm afraid of how powerful I am, looking at how I don't like to be seen. You know, all of this stuff. It is that's internal again, but you're having to look at those things that are manifesting externally that I'm frightened of or scared of. Yeah.
that's there is the key as well, because as long as we don't look in our shadows, as we are not diving into them, we will not have the power to speak, to put boundaries, to say no more to this. I'm choosing this. You can tell me what to believe, how to feel, because I know myself. But that's only and only can be possible when we work through with our shadows, when we recognize that pain, when we heal ourselves internally. It's not possible the other way. You will say, oh, I put boundaries without working on your own wounds, and you think you put boundaries, those unhealthy boundaries, because you protect the ego, the pain body, the story, the shadows. So if we really want to choose ourselves, we must dive into the pain. And by healing that, we know to put healthy boundaries. We know to say no or yes in a healthy way, because when we do the work, we have more clarity of our thoughts, our emotions, our story. And then we realize that I cannot be anymore let others to manipulate me, because I know I work with my staff and they don't walk my shoes. I walk in my shoes and I know how it is to walk on the shoes, and they cannot tell me what is the truth when I have my shoes and my path to walk on. So that's give the clarity. And this is the secret maybe not, but the key of having the power to empower ourselves. And when we deal with that pain, when we heal, and then we put healthy boundaries.
But I like the pain, but I like that suffering. It's familiar. I know how to live with it. I know how to deal with it. It's a safety blanket, which is quite a perverted way of saying it, but it's easier to be in that pain than radical acceptance, than accepting that things have to change. And you know, that fear of the uncertainty, that's even more scary than that niggling pain, that repetitive verbal abuse by a partner, that being attached to my own emotions. So I'm always feeling sorry for myself. I'm always blaming other people. Another step. How do we gracefully and compassionately get around that? Because that addiction to, or I use the addiction word, that attachment addiction to the story is so pervasive. It is so wraps you up in cotton wool and keeps you in that tiny little box where you can't breathe. But we prefer that. Why do we prefer that? What is so important about being in that little space?
The pain body is addicted and it's feeling pleasure when we roll on the negative towards, and we convince that the story is real. It's something so weird to say, but the the drama, the pain, the shadow, which is the pain, it's it wants more of that. It's wants more of that. So when we are not aware that we are only the presence and just being can make you aware of left and right. But there are also people who want attention unconscious because of their story. Then they live in the victimhood. And by living in that space, they create of more, my story was real. I deserve to stay in pain because they hurt me. And this is my story. And you don't know what I was going through because this and this and that. So, yeah, we all have a story. We'll all go through pain, different colors, the same feeling, the same betrayed, the same humiliation, but the experiences look differently. So, it's also the human conscious decision to comprehend that they are not the story, that they are just presence, conscious, just being, and they are sitting on that chair that is observing the left brain, the right brain, and then connecting the dots and then looking around and take those decisions that it's right for themselves. Because we have been programmed generation, and because it's so embedded in our DNA, in our physical body, not only our story, but our grandmothers and grandfathers and generation back is in our DNA. So it requires the courage, the, you see, this resilience to move, to go through, because there is something else. So again, people are choosing. This is a choice. Left, right. Many maybe will go left. Few will go right. You know, this healthy medicine and not sure there is only two to their kiosk, or there is drugs, chemicals, and there is so many, because on that side example, everything is fast. You take a pills, oh, in 5 minutes you're ready. When you take a natural treatment, it take time, patience. You have to feel, but you know you will heal yourself, but it's take time. And that's the difference. Do you want a fast way to somewhere which is not whatever you think it is, or you want to take a slowly, long, but this is more long inside internally, how you want to build that. So it's a choice, clearly choice. If you want to be and they are not aware either, because this is my, is the identification with that story, and they think that is who they are, and you cannot do anything about it because that's their truth.
Story. You nailed it. Yep. It is. It is that story that we hang on to, that story. I think you brought in parents, grandparents, ancestors. You can take that even further. It's society, it's your
Yes.
culture, it's your religion. You've got so much stuff that redefines you, who you are. That is that story. And we can rewrite that story. But
Yeah.
it does require being present. And the more present I am, the easier it is for me to go, that's just a story. That is out of
Mm.
date. That is not who I am or how I am, or is not even what I am anymore. And I'm seeing that all the time as I'm building my business. It's scary. I can't do it. It's too hard. I won't remember. It's just like, bollocks, Hamish. That's an old story. The truth is, I am really fucking good at what I do. I'm great at doing podcasts. I'm great at talking to people. I'm great at helping people navigate. I'm great at helping people do all of this. But I have to be present to do that. I have to be so present with them, with myself. So when I hear this, nah, you're not good enough, it's like, go away. You're out of date. That story's no longer true. But to get to that point, I've had to go through not just a transformation of cutting my hair off. I've had my own journey and tumbling down and making choices. But it is, am I really that story? You nailed it right at the beginning of this conversation. Is that story really me? And it's not. And it's just looking at that, just look at your story. Is it true? The problem is every time I tell my story, I add a bit more. You know, there's a bit more, I got treated so badly. I got treated horrendously. I got beaten. I got mugged. I got this. I add to that story to make me the victim, to make me suffer more. So you will
Mm.
enroll, you will protect me, you will love me, you will feed me, you will give me your energy. The original story was probably I got ticked off because I was misbehaving. You
Hmm.
know, 50 years later, I was beaten by my mum. I hate her because she was a monster. Bollocks. I was being a child. I didn't know better. And I got told off and I just took it badly. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's quite sad, isn't it, when you actually look at that story? When you follow that story back to what is the real truth. I mean, this is what we do in shamanism when we're doing the soul
Mm.
retrieval, and other people do that. All sorts of modalities use this technique to look at the story. Where did it come from? Very powerful.
It is.
Just
And
requires
especially,
a lot of honesty and being present, which I think you were going to say, weren't you? Sorry, what were you going to say?
no, I was thinking exactly what you say. It's is to go to the roots of what is happening, and many times and often is not exactly how we perceive it to be. And that changes perspective of actually our entire existence and life itself. If that is not true, because I navigate and actually what I was thinking about is not how it was, then what about the rest of my story? And that's make you ask to change something, to be more present. And as you said, when you hear this voice, because also say like, I hear my own voice, my own, this wounded to say like, yeah, you relax, you cannot do anything. I hear you enough, thank you. I have something else to do. You want to come with me and do something, or otherwise don't disturb me. So it's also the same. Like we are more aware of this small parts of us that tries to poke us and to see are we still going forward. And this journey is not easy. And that's why this like shamanism, or there are so many other techniques, tools, the world is full, whatever is working out for each individual. It's really to go in somehow in the subconscious way to see where the story is rooted. Because from my own experience, I realized, bringing the memories, I realized that whatever a part of what I have been played out in this life is so much related with another life existence I had on earth. And I was like, what? Like how that can happen? It's not related with this life. It's something energetically from another lifetime. So again, we are multidimensional beings, different facets. So diving, feeling, not judging, just feeling the emotions. It's give that acceptance and compassion. And from there, you start your journey, not creating more stories why you feel the way you feel, why you cry, but just allowing it to happen. And that will make space for more understandings to come in.
Yeah, I like that. I'm not familiar with stories from previous lifetimes. For me, however, there definitely is my mother hid in plain sight. I do the same thing. There is stuff from my grandfather which I have given back, stories which are not mine. Um, I think one thing we haven't made explicitly clear is shit happens. You know,
Mhm.
you got beaten by your father, you got yelled at by your mother. These things happened. These traumas happened, and the stories are how we perceived what happened, not what happened. Um, what I'm what I'm saying is I'm not belittling what happened to somebody. You know, if my story, or I was raped, I was beaten, I hear you. I hold the space for you for that event. The trauma is how you reacted to it, how you made sense of it. Often that little piece of you buggered off, that soul piece disappeared, said, I can't cope with this. I'm not going to tolerate with the child abuse, with this, with that. The story is always that child's way of coping with it. And that I think is really important because we are not, neither of us are gaslighting or belittling what happened. That's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is the story. And when you're ready, looking at it, because that's what you nailed right there. Once we look at that story, we can start to see whether it's true. We can go back to that child. We can find that piece that's missing. We can go back to that little child that suffered there and just say, hey, I love you. I can protect you, whereas the parent couldn't. And I think in that moment, we're able to bring that change that we need to change that story and make that story something really powerful and present. And yeah, everything changes. When I'm no longer a victim, everything changes. You know,
Yeah.
back to my father, I fought with him all my life.
Mm.
And in the 5 years I was back in England before he died, we reconnected. He wasn't my friend. He wasn't my role model. He was an inverse role model. He showed me how not to do things. However, we reconnected, and I told him plenty of times I loved him. He was proud of me. He was able to tell me that, and I believed him. Um, but I had to change. He wasn't going to, and that's fair enough. It's not on him to change. It was on me because I was the one fighting him. Um, and I can't tell you, Juliana, how grateful I am that I didn't reconnect with my father before he died. I didn't have, oh God, if only I had apologized. If only my last words weren't, Dad, I hate you. Didn't
Mm.
have that. Quite the opposite. And that, because I had to look at my story, and my story was lies. It was complete bollocks. It really was. It was horrifying. And then I had to go, oh shit, that is not true. That is really not true. He was doing the best he could. He wasn't a monster. He was this. And that level of discernment, there's the word of the day, discernment, was, I'm going to say, what saved my life, what allowed me to really look at that story honestly and go, no, I made that one up to protect me, to feel the victim, to enroll people. You know, my dad this, my dad that. Oh, Hamish, you poor person. Lap it up, worship me, feel, give me your energy. It's like, no, that's not true. I had to change my identity around that story. And it's hard, but it was
Mm.
worth it. Really worth it. Yeah.
So your father was like a catalyst for your changing of identity, which is a story that you was carrying with,
Yeah.
or how, because I feel
Mm,
like that's how this experience with your father the last years
mm.
have actually catalyzed in you the
Yeah.
shift
Yeah.
to look with honest eyes, to be honest with yourself, which is
Mm.
hard
Yep.
sometimes, but
Mm.
that was your.
He was a big part of me rewriting that story in the same way. I've got lots of friends who've got children, and their children are teaching them how to change their stories. I mean, I don't have kids, but I know that if you want to get triggered, have children. If you want to change, have children. Or if you don't want to change, have children and suffer. Yeah.
You are
Mm,
so right here. You are so on point.
mm,
Because the kids are coming totally with their own authentic the way they are, and
yeah.
They are totally so, I don't want to say unleashed, but they are so free in themselves that it's surprising me to hear what kids are talking today. Is like, oh, I don't expect this for a 5 years old, but
Yeah.
amazing.
Mm, yeah.
So
Yeah.
definitely.
That's another story, isn't it? That one for another time. Or maybe that's a conversation you have with someone who's had kids who can really bring that side into it. Yeah.
Exactly. So
Mm.
I want to say thank you so much, Hamish, for wrapping this together, for looking at this transformation, what is required for us, from us, and how we walk it. What is the steps? There is not right, there is no wrong. There is just your own sense of guidance and what's work out for you. There is shamanism, there is past life regression, there is so many things. Each soul is individual. But what I must to say is that from your experience with your father, from my experience with the inner calling to shape bold, it's really catalyzed something inside us that actually show both of us in individual way that change is possible, resilience, responsibility, accountability, boundaries, and recognizing for ourselves. If we cannot do that, if we are not true with ourselves, there is no, your view will be distorted. So transformation is possible, and your soul is strong enough to go through it. So yeah, I I felt to share this. And with what we identify ourselves is very important. We are not the thoughts, we are not the story, we are the presence, beingness, awareness, observation. So yeah, beautiful hearts. So Hamish, do you want to, from your experience, to share something?
Um, I think you summed it up perfectly there. I think the only thing I was going to add is it is a choice, as you said, absolutely. And you don't have to change. You really, really don't have to. There's no obligation. Um, and I'm not reverse psychologizing or anything like that. You don't. It is a choice. There is the pain of reality and the what ifs and the past, and there is the joy of the present, and just hold them in each hand. And which do you prefer? Um, Reincarnation, you can come back again and do it next time. Do you really want to go through the same shit having forgotten all of this? I mean, how many times have I done this? I don't know. Um, that's another story for another time without a shadow of a doubt.
Definitely.
But I think it is what you want, being present, being having that capacity for curiosity and getting out of that pain, getting out of that suffering. Pain's the teacher, suffering is not getting out of that pain, not learning.
Resisting it.
Mm.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Hamish, for being here. And I wish that more will see through their own eyes from another perspective based on the experience they had. And all that we can do is have compassion for them and let them choose. And as you said, it's not an obligation, it's a choice, whatever is working out. So thank you, beautiful hearts. And see you next time.